In the meantime, in this countdown, we're going to bring you special stories from time to time on some of the more promising Australian athletes. Now, we've got a rich heritage in the long jump. In fact, we've got silvers at three Olympics, and we've also got the world #1 right now. Now, Mitchell Watt came from nowhere to win bronze at the world titles 2 years ago, and everybody says he is ready to absolutely produce his best. He's an outstanding prospect, and here's Tim Sheridan with this report.
Mitchell Watt is flying further and more frequently than all of his rivals. Last month in Shanghai, this was his second Monster of the Year. 2 years ago, he wasn't even game to tell anyone his story.
They wouldn't believe you. They probably wouldn't believe you.
I agree. Like, I think some of them just think I'm talking out of my bum. But yeah, if I heard the same story from someone there, I probably wouldn't believe them either.
The Queensland Academy of Sport's National Jump Centre is the launching pad for Australia's leapers. At training, they're mostly grounded, held there by weight vests and sleds.
That weight vest gives you a little bit more vertical overload when you run. Yeah.
The runway is where the big jumps are made, and it's why Gary Bourne examines every millimetre of every stride. He's been coaching for 30 years and full-time here for one.
And the biomechanics of that final moment when they launch, I mean, is that the secret?
It is. Absolutely. So, yes, it's not just how fast you run on the runway. It's how fast, it's how much you don't lose in that transition from running to jumping.
In 2008, Mitchell Watt ran into a mate who'd been competing in Europe.
He was sort of just got back from Europe saying, you know, he's travelling around week to week, competing, yeah, in front of tens of thousands of people, and skipped the Australian winter and going in the European summer. And he's like, oh, you should come down to training one day.
Mitchell played Queensland schoolboys rugby with Wallabies Quade Cooper and Will Ganya, but hadn't run on a track for years. The only sand he'd touched was on a Gold Coast beach, lying down.
And the idea just kind of stuck in my head for a couple of weeks, and then I went down to the track and spoke to my coach Gary, and he was sort of, I don't know, I'd be interested to know what he actually thought when I came down.
I turned up to training and he was grossly overweight. He was, I think, probably 95 kilos. He tore his hamstring in the first month that he trained with us. So it took a couple of months to rehab that and getting back on track, and then he wanted to try some jumping, so we've been trying some jumping drills with him. And I said, well, you run on your toes, you're really going to hurt yourself if you try and jump. So I said, have a go anyway. So I let him run off 6 steps. He came in off 6 steps, and I was standing in the pit probably 4 metres past where he was taking off, and he sailed past the top of my head. I'm like, you just might have something there, mate.
Out of nowhere, Mitch just missed selection for Beijing by 6 centimetres. He made the final at the Nationals, but was too sore to jump. He wasn't a seasoned athlete, just a monster talent.
We took him to Europe in 2009. His first competition was in Madrid, and his personal best, I think, was like 8 metres 16 or so going into that competition. In that competition, he jumped 8 metres 35 or 8 metres 36. I gave him 3 jumps in Rethymno to do show me what you can do in 3 jumps, because you've got to jump well enough to get in the final. Jumped 8 metres 43.
Without ever jumping in a major meet, Mitch was landing in areas that would have medalled at every Olympics back to the 80s and beyond. He took a month off to freshen for the Worlds in Berlin, his life about to change forever.
Yeah, made the team for Berlin, and it was my first time overseas as a 21-year-old, so it was a very new experience, not just the athletic side of things, but the travelling and all that kind of stuff.
So, less inertia for this lower leg, easier swing on this one here.
The science available to Gary Bourne is impressive, and he says essential. Chris McCosker and Daniel Greenwood's tools are cameras, software and lasers. Daniel is doing a PhD in run-ups.
Some of these dips up and down that we're looking at are changes in horizontal. Although they look like they're vertical, they're actual changes in horizontal velocity as the athlete runs down the runway.
Adrenaline being the vital ingredient missing at training is why jumpers don't get serious until there's a crowd. The Berlin Worlds gave Mitch his first big hit.
I still distinctly remember walking out for the final, looking up at the podium, and I was like, oh, like how good would it be to be up on the podium? And still, like half an hour before my competition, didn't think that I'd be up there, and yeah, just sort of surprised myself a little bit.
8 metres 28 in the bronze medal spot, this brilliant young Australian, and that's even better. Tremendous jump by Mitchell Watt.
In a discipline where Australia already had a solid history, the #1 world ranking of a very young team is exciting.
Yeah, well, I'd just like to see someone that I train with jump that distance. It just makes it, I guess, real. It's not just something that's like kind of made up, or it's like, oh, I've seen what he's done in training, I think I can, you know, do that.
From not even watching the Beijing Olympic long jump, Mitchell Watt has the talent to contend in London. For the accidental flyer, the sky seems to be the limit.
You know you're so close to it. You know, if I had have come 10th or 20th or something, it would still sort of seem a bit distant. But I think, yeah, being so close, it really made me think that I can win.
Tim Sheridan reporting there, and Mitchell Watt not only can jump, but he can really fly. He recorded a time this year of 10.31 just recently, which is the equal fastest time run in Australia this year. So he's a good sprinter, and he's certainly a great long jumper. In the meantime, plenty more to come here on Wide World of Sports. We'll be back in just a moment.